Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, Souls of the Caravel, by Griz Calderon. The sea was the Grim Reaper's constant companion. Long before men raised sails to chase horizons, he walked the shores and listened to the eternal voice of waves. They spoke of rise and fall, of beginnings and endings, a rhythm he knew well. When the first caravels left Lisbon's docks, their sails bright against the dawn, the Reaper was already aboard. The sailors cheered, their eyes filled with hope, but he lingered in the shadows of the deck, silent witness to the cost that lay ahead. The sea whispered of storms, hunger, and sickness. The men called it discovery. He knew it would be surrender. At night, when the stars shimmered above the small wooden ships, he watched them sing to still their fear. By day, he walked unseen as they hauled ropes with salt-cracked hands, their faces burned by sun and wind. Some died quietly in their hammocks, fever stealing their last strength. Others met the waves with a cry that was swallowed before their shipmates could even shout their names. The ocean claimed its share of bodies, pulling them into its depths without return. The Reaper claimed the rest, guiding their souls from pain into stillness. Each departure was quiet, as steady as the tide receding from sand. He was present when storms shattered masts and split hulls. He stood watch when the holds turned foul, when rats became meat, when hunger bent men into prayer. He walked among them when steel clashed with spears on foreign shores and blood-stained waters that had never known their names. History would remember the captains, the ones who commanded these journeys and carved their names into maps. It would speak of those who dreamed of horizons but never sailed them, of those who opened new paths at the cost of countless lives, of those who sought to encircle the world and found their circle broken on a distant shore. But the Reaper remembered differently. He remembered the sailor who whispered his mother's name as the waves closed over him, the boy who slipped from the rigging in a storm, his cry lost to thunder, the hundreds whose graves were marked only by water, their faces unrecorded, their stories untold. To him, they were not nameless. Every soul carried weight, and he bore them all. The centuries turned, the sails became steel, the wind became engines, and still the Reaper walked the decks of ships. He was there when the great liners crossed the Atlantic, when submarines slipped beneath the waves, when the depths claimed men chasing knowledge instead of spice. The sea changed its language, but not its hunger. He moved through the wreckage of centuries, the ships broken by storm and war, by ice and arrogance. He guided souls from wooden hulls and iron chambers alike. Each time, he felt the same ache, the same questions carried on the wind. Why do they always return to the sea? Why must discovery demand such loss? And then he would remember. It was not greed alone that drew them, nor conquest. It was longing, the same longing that once made them lift their eyes to the stars, that now sends them beyond the sky. Curiosity, courage, hope, he had seen them all before. Even now, he walks beside them, in the deep where divers search for forgotten worlds, in the roar of engines above clouds, in the silence of space where no sound of the tide can reach. For wherever humanity goes, he follows, not as punishment, but as promise. The sea was their first mirror. It reflected both their wonder and their undoing. And as long as they dream, as long as they reach for what lies beyond the horizon, the Reaper will walk beside them, patient, eternal, carrying the weight of every soul returned to the deep. And still, the ships come, one after another, their lights glowing against the dark. chasing a horizon that will never end. It never vanished. It only deepened. The Grim Reaper walked with the tide, unending, taking what the sea returned to him, as it always had and always would. The end.